There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. It's not physical, it's deeper. The kind that lives behind your eyes, under your ribs, right in the center of your chest. You open your eyes in the morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, the weight is already there. It's the unspoken pressure to be everything for everyone. The quiet demand to perform, to endure, to smile like everything's fine while your spirit is already breaking before breakfast. You feel scattered, not because you're weak, but because your energy, your attention, your peace has been slowly siphoned away, not by one big event, but by 1,000 small leaks. The text you answered, even though you were drained. The call you took from someone who only talks about themselves. The job, the relationship, the habits you keep feeding, even though they haven't fed you in years. That's not life, that's survival, and it's why you're tired. But here's what the world won't tell you, Sid. Your burnout isn't a flaw. It's a signal. A wake-up call from the version of you that still remembers who you were before you traded your energy for approval, before you kept saying yes just to keep the peace, before you got so used to being drained that you forgot what full even feels like. This isn't about motivation. This is about reclamation. You are not here to be consumed. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to master your energy, to protect it, direct it, and give it only to what truly matters. And today, we're not just talking about it. We're taking it back. What follows isn't comfort, it's fire. 10 brutal Stoic truths forged to rip your attention away from the chaos and anchor it back where it belongs, with you. If you're ready to stop leaking your power into things that don't deserve it, then keep listening, because the storm ends when you stop feeding it. You've forgotten what power feels like. Let's fix that. 1. Cut off the leaks. Energy is bled, not stolen. Your downfall won't come in one dramatic moment. It'll happen in the slow drip of compromises, the little leaks. You think you're just being kind, just being flexible, just keeping the peace. But every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you laugh at a joke that cuts into your dignity, every time you show up for someone who never shows up for you, you're bleeding. Not in ways the world will see, but in ways that cost you everything. People rarely break you with one big betrayal. They wear you down with the weight of entitlement, silence, guilt, and expectation. And you, without realizing it, play along. Because you don't want to seem rude, because you're trying to be the bigger person, because you've been conditioned to carry what others drop. And all the while, your energy, the very essence of your drive, your clarity, your peace, is being traded away like it's worthless. But Marcus Aurelius didn't carry the Roman Empire on his back by saying yes to everyone. He said, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. Translation, you're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you're spending your strength on things that don't deserve it. You're exhausted because you're fighting battles you should have walked away from. So here's the truth no one's going to say gently, if you're tired all the time, check the leaks. The people who talk to you like you're a resource, not a person. The environments that drain you while pretending to reward you. The habits that disguise themselves as self-care, but never leave you feeling restored. That's your enemy, not life, not work, not the grind, the leak. Cut it off. Be ruthless. You don't need a long goodbye. You don't need to draft a paragraph explaining your silence. You don't owe them closure. You owe yourself recovery. Let people adjust to your absence. Let the doors you close stay closed. Because every drop you waste on people who don't appreciate your presence is energy stolen from the version of you that's trying to rise. 2. Your attention is your kingdom. Guard it like sacred ground. Every time you pick up your phone without intention, every time you scroll through noise, argue with strangers, dive into drama that has nothing to do with your path, you're not just killing time, you're leaking your kingdom. Because your attention is your kingdom, and where it goes, everything follows. They don't need to steal your power, they just need you distracted. In a world engineered to hijack your focus, the person who can control their attention becomes untouchable, and yet most people give it away like it's worthless. You check a comment, you open an app, you let someone else's opinion infiltrate your mental space, and now your energy is contaminated. Now you're reacting instead of building. Seneca said, "Show me a man who values his time, and I'll show you a man who's truly free." The Stoics didn't just teach restraint in speech or anger, they taught restraint in focus. Because the mind, left undisciplined, will serve whoever shouts the loudest. And these days, everyone's shouting. News cycles engineered to spark outrage. Notifications lighting up your screen like sirens. People mistaking your availability for obligation. If you don't defend your attention, you don't have a life. You have a constant reaction. Let's be clear, not everything deserves a response. Not every message needs a reply. Not every update requires your eyes. You weren't born to be accessible to everyone at all times. That's not connectivity. That's enslavement. The stronger you get, the quieter you'll need to become. Not out of arrogance, but necessity. Focus is a weapon, and you only get one shot at building a life worth living. So stop scattering your attention like breadcrumbs. Start hoarding it like the treasure it is. Turn off the noise, silence the chaos. Guard your mind like a lion guards its territory, because once you start treating your attention like royalty, you'll stop giving it to clowns. Third, stop explaining yourself. Your energy isn't a negotiation. There's a moment, and you'll know it when it comes, where you realize that every explanation you give is costing you something. Your peace, your dignity, your time. You start to see the pattern. The more you explain, the less you're believed. The more you justify, the more they demand. That's not communication, that's energy theft. You are not obligated to narrate your life to people who have no interest in understanding it. You don't have to prove the worth of your decisions to people who were never rooting for you in the first place. Every time you find yourself typing out a long message to clear the air, ask yourself, is this for clarity? Or is this because I'm afraid of being misunderstood? And if it's the second one, delete it. Epictetus once said, if someone speaks ill of you, rather than defend yourself, tell them, clearly they don't know the rest of my flaws. They'd have more to talk about. That's not sarcasm. That's power. It's the kind of self-possession that terrifies manipulators, confuses critics, and silences noise without ever raising your voice. Because here's the truth, your peace isn't up for debate, your standards aren't a round-table discussion, and your growth doesn't need commentary. People will try to gaslight you into thinking you owe them something. An explanation, a chance to plead their case, a spot in your life they haven't earned. But the day you stop explaining is the day you start reclaiming. Silence is a language. Use it fluently. Use it as armor. Use it as a wall. Not to shut people out, but to shut nonsense down. You don't need to fight fire with fire. Just let them burn out talking to themselves. Move differently. Withdraw with grace. Let the distance speak. Let the results scream. The ones who needed your energy to feel big will shrink on their own. And you'll be too focused, too grounded, too free to even notice. 4. Master your mornings. That's where the war is won. Before the world throws its first punch, your mind has already decided whether it's standing tall or getting knocked over. And that decision, it doesn't get made in the middle of chaos. It's forged in the first minutes of your morning. What you do in silence echoes louder than anything you say under pressure. Most people wake up and scroll. They invite the world in before they've even met themselves. News, messages, updates, noise, all flooding in while their body's still trying to remember how to breathe. That's not a morning. That's a hijacking, and if you wonder why your day spirals, look no further than the moment you handed it away. Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, warrior, didn't start his days chasing comfort. He started with reminders of death, of duty, of discipline. He didn't wake up hoping for peace. He created it. When you arise in the morning, he wrote, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. That's not a motivational quote, that's battlefield strategy, because mornings aren't neutral, they're momentum. You either claim them or surrender them. And if you don't claim yours, someone else will. Your phone, your inbox, the news, that one person who always needs something. But when you own your morning, even just 30 minutes of it, you reset your entire nervous system. You tell your mind, we lead today. You tell your energy, we serve only what builds. You train your body to move with intention, your thoughts to obey your vision, your heart to stay anchored. No need for a 5-hour routine or a monk's lifestyle. Just one non-negotiable ritual that tells your soul, I haven't forgotten you. So rise before the noise, write, move, sit in stillness, reflect, speak to yourself like you're worth leading. Because if you don't command the first hour, you'll spend the rest of the day reacting to everyone who does. Win your morning, win your mind. Win your mind, win your life. 5. Stop feeding low-value people. Your energy is not a charity. You keep wondering why you feel empty after pouring your soul into conversations, favors, explanations. But the truth is, you're not running on empty. You're running on extraction. You've become someone's emotional vending machine, their motivational speaker, their last-minute therapist, and you keep wondering why you're drained. It's not the giving that hurts, it's where you're giving it. You keep handing your first-class energy to people flying standby in your life. They don't reciprocate, they don't invest, they just take, and when they're full, they vanish until the next crisis. Until they need your calm to fix their chaos. And here you are, bleeding your strength into people who wouldn't crawl an inch for you while you've run marathons for them. You don't owe them that. You don't owe anyone your breakdown just because they can't manage their own. Seneca put it like this: associate with people who are likely to improve you, not people who drain you, not people who turn every interaction into an energy tax. Not people who guilt you for evolving while they refuse to change. Some people aren't meant to be in your inner circle. They're meant to be watched from a distance, not with hate, with clarity. This is the brutal truth. You don't just lose peace by staying connected to the wrong people. You lose yourself, your goals slip, your mood drops, your focus dies, because you're spending your emotional currency in a market that only takes but never gives. Stop apologizing for walking away from people who don't grow with you. Stop explaining why you no longer answer every call, respond to every complaint, entertain every subtle insult disguised as concern. They had access. They wasted it. That's not on you. Pour into those who pour back. Give energy to what multiplies your peace. Stop feeding people who treat your presence like a convenience instead of a privilege. You don't need to be bitter. Just be done. Quietly, completely. Without announcements. Because when you stop feeding people who drain you, something incredible happens. You get to feed the version of you that's been starving. 6. Your standards aren't harsh, they're filters for peace. Somewhere along the way, you were told that being selective makes you selfish, that drawing a line makes you arrogant, that having standards makes you too much. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what the wise eventually learn. Your standards aren't the problem, they're the protection. Every time you lower your standards to avoid being difficult, you invite chaos into your life disguised as compromise. And that chaos always costs more than the discomfort of saying no. What looks like preference to others how people speak to you, how they show up, how they value your time, is actually policy. It's how you govern your life. And like any good government, there must be rules. Because when there are none, disorder walks in dressed like friendship, love, opportunity. People who can't meet your standards will always call them harsh. That's not because you're unkind, it's because they're unqualified. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. He was surrounded by power plays, flattery, and deception, yet he held himself to an internal compass. He didn't ask the world to behave. He asked himself to remain unmoved. His standards weren't meant to please others. They were meant to keep him whole. Your standards aren't punishments, they're invitations. They say, if you want to be here, show up fully. Speak with honesty, move with respect, bring peace, not problems. And if someone balks at that, let them walk. Their exit is the proof your filter is working. Stop labeling your strength as a flaw. You are not too sensitive for wanting sincerity. You are not too rigid for protecting your time. You are not too intense for expecting consistency. You are clear, and clarity terrifies those who thrive in confusion. Set the boundary, speak the truth, raise the bar, and when they say you've changed, smile, because you did. You stopped accepting half-effort. You stopped apologizing for your standards. You stopped begging people to treat you right. Now your life is built, not begged for. 7. Protect your peace like a fortress. Not everyone deserves access. Peace isn't passive. It's not a luxury you stumble into on vacation or during a quiet weekend. Real peace, the kind that makes you unshakable, is built, brick by brick, choice by choice, and every day someone or something is testing its gates. That's why peace must be protected, not like a soft breeze, but like a fortress. People who don't value their own peace won't value yours. They'll bring chaos, drama, projection, noise, not because they're evil, but because they've lived in disorder so long, it feels like home. And when they see the calm in you, they'll either learn from it or try to destroy it. It's your job to decide who gets close. Seneca warned us, if you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. And peace, real peace, is nature's rhythm. It flows when we stop trying to please everyone, fix everything, and answer every call that rings in panic. Some people only knock when they're in crisis. Some only reach out when they need a listener, a fixer, a therapist you never applied to be. But your peace, it's not a waiting room. It's not a repair shop. It's sacred. And sacred things aren't shared with just anyone. Protecting your peace will offend people. That's how you know you're doing it right. Because the ones who were only drawn to your light for warmth, not growth, will call you cold when you stop lighting their fire. But you don't owe access to everyone just because they once knocked on your door. Let silence guard your mornings. Let no be your gatekeeper. Let unread messages be your boundary. You don't need to defend your peace. You just need to stop opening the gates for people who show up empty-handed, but leave with your soul. Not every invitation deserves a response. Not every problem is yours to fix. Not every voice deserves your attention. Your peace is your fortress. Build it, guard it, and watch how much stronger you become when you finally stop letting the world walk through your mind without permission. 8. The people you cut off were the price of clarity, not a loss, a lesson. Let's get something straight. Not everyone you lose is a tragedy. Some are blessings, revealed in reverse. There's this moment that hits after you've walked away from someone toxic, someone inconsistent, someone who thrived off the version of you that didn't know any better. At first, it feels like a hole, quiet, cold, unfamiliar. You question yourself, did I overreact? Was I too harsh? Could I have tried harder? But then something shifts. The silence stops feeling empty. It starts feeling clean. The air feels lighter. Your thoughts move clearer. And you realize They weren't a loss. They were noise, static, fog in human form. And the moment they left, clarity returned. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What stood in the way of your peace wasn't just your circumstances. It was certain people, certain relationships, certain energies that didn't just block your growth, they infected it. And cutting them off, that wasn't cruelty, that was clarity. See, people don't change just because you love them harder. They change when they decide to evolve. Until then, all your effort becomes fertilizer for resentment. You sacrifice your sleep, your sanity, your standards. And for what? To keep something half alive that only knew how to take. No more. When someone shows you who they are over and over, and you keep rewriting the script, that's not compassion. That's delusion. That's denial dressed up as loyalty, and it costs you more than you ever realize until you walk away. When you finally let go, you're not walking into loneliness. You're walking into truth, into space, into room for the right people, the real ones, the ones who match your frequency, not drain it. So stop mourning the fake connections. Stop revisiting people who only knew how to take. Stop explaining why you had to choose yourself. They were the tax. Clarity was the return. And the people you lost along the way, they weren't your tribe. They were the toll. 9. Reclaiming your energy is the real comeback, not the clapback, not the revenge. Everyone loves a comeback story, but not the kind you see in movies. The dramatic speech, the public win, the headline moment where you prove everyone wrong. That's not power, that's performance. The real comeback, it's quieter, it's deeper. It doesn't happen in front of crowds. It happens in the mirror. It starts the day you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. It begins the second you realize that the best revenge isn't a louder voice. It's a better life. Reclaiming your energy means you stop chasing closure. You stop crafting responses. You stop trying to teach someone how they broke you. Because the truth is, they know. They always knew. They just didn't care or enjoyed it such as a sericitis that at sea to disism. But you're not in that story anymore. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's not a quote. That's a strategy. You don't fight small with small. You don't wrestle in the mud just to say you didn't back down. You rise, you glow in silence, you heal in private, you build in the shadows, and one day, without warning, without announcements, you're no longer exhausted, no longer available to the chaos, no longer clapping back at people who stopped deserving your voice the moment they proved they couldn't hold your presence. This comeback, it's not a scene, it's a transformation. It's the mornings you get up early again, the meals you eat slow, the workouts you actually finish, the boundaries you enforce without flinching, the peace you guard like a dragon guards gold. And here's the beauty of it. The ones who tried to crush you will feel it. Not because you send a message, but because your energy, once drained by them, now roars without them. You don't need to be seen to win. You need to be sane. You need to be still. You need to be whole. So skip the drama, skip the clapback. The most powerful thing you can ever say is nothing and live better. Because the greatest comeback is coming back to you. 10. Peace is not given. It's claimed and defended daily. Let's end where it all begins. Peace, not the soft kind people talk about in quotes, not the romanticized idea of a life with no noise. Real peace, the kind forged in fire, tested in chaos, held with bloody knuckles when the world tries to rip it from your hands. That kind of peace isn't handed out, it's claimed, and then it's defended every single day. See, people think peace is passive, that it means being unbothered, always calm, always centered. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome by sipping tea and ignoring his problems. He faced them, but from a place that didn't flinch, because peace isn't the absence of battle, it's the refusal to lose yourself in the middle of one. You will be tested by people who want your energy, not your well-being, by situations that try to pull you back into chaos, by your own thoughts, the anxious spirals, the old stories, the scars dressed as instincts, and each time you'll have a choice, collapse into reaction or rise into response. Peace is not silence, peace is strategy. It's waking up and choosing what enters your mind. It's building a fortress around your time. It's saying no more than you say yes, because you finally know the cost of being available to everything. Peace is uncomfortable at first. It isolates you. It makes you less fun to the people who fed off your scattered self. It distances you from the drama you used to call connection. And it forces you to sit with the one person you used to avoid the most, yourself. But when you claim it, when you earn it, you'll never go back. You'll walk different. You'll speak less, mean more. You'll stop trying to be understood and start building a life that feels understood. You'll realize your calm isn't boring. It's power refined. So guard it, because the world is noisy, the people are hungry, the demands never stop. But your peace, that's your weapon, your refuge, your compass. And every day you hold it with intention, you become the kind of person who doesn't just survive, but commands. And that, Stoic friends, is how we take back our lives. One choice, one truth, one unshakable moment of clarity at a time. Now tell me, which of these truths hit hardest? Drop it in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to stop leaking their energy. And if this fire lit something in you, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, ring the bell. And above all, stay grounded, stay powerful, stay stoic. Until next time,